So the Rugby Championship is nearly here. The All Blacks announcing a 36-man squad with an additional 6 players for injury cover. And in this video, I'm going to try and put together the best possible All Blacks side with under 100 caps. Now, this is a concept that I did a little while ago for the Springbok side when they announced their massive squad for July. So I am going to be trying to do the same thing with the All Blacks here. See how much depth at the moment New Zealand Rugby has. Now, there are a couple rules behind this. First of all, they have to be a player in that 42-man squad that has been announced by New Zealand. Whether that is an injured player or whether it is someone who is an injury cover player, I am allowed to select them in my starting 15. It is also just the starting lineup, and the reason behind that is if you put together the lowest possible caps for an All Black starting 15, as well as the reserves, you get to 173 caps. And that is far too many. We're trying to find a way of putting 100 or less. So with that being said, let's jump straight into it. So first off, I am going to be going with statistically what is the lowest possible capped All Black side for a starting 15. Jumping into the front row, it would be Ollie Norris as the number 1. He has got just the 2 All Blacks caps, and he was one of the new players brought in by Scott Robertson in the July internationals. Number 2, Brodie McAllister. He has just got the 1 cap that was actually in the second half up against France. In the 3rd test match, did get himself a debut try. But when you look at the other hookers that are available, Samisoni Taukei'aho, he has got 33 caps. And of course, Cody Taylor, he is closing in on the century. So it does make it very difficult to select either of those two. And the locking duo, Josh Lord with the 7 caps and Fabian Holland with the 3. So the combination of 10 for those 2 players, also very tall, young individuals, 24 and 22, and Fabian Holland tearing it up throughout the France series. So I don't even think that his caps at this point matters when it comes to the All Black selection, but of course in this case it does mean a lot. In the loose forward trio, you could have Simon Parker as that number 6, yet to make his All Blacks debut, but did get selected in the Rugby Championship squad. He's going to be playing for Northland in their game up against Southland in the NPC, so hopefully he can stay injury-free and does get that cap before the end of the year. Number 7, Duplessis Karefi. He was another player that was brought in by Scott Robertson this season. 3 caps so far for Karefi, 2 off the bench, and also 1 in the starting lineup. That was in the 3rd match up against the French. And then at number 8, Peter Larkai, another man playing in the Bunnings NPC this weekend for Wellington up against Waikato. He has got 3 caps. He's very versatile. He can honestly play anywhere in that loose forward trio, but those are the bare minimum caps that you can have for the loose forward trio. Of course, if you want to throw someone like an Ardie Savia into the mix, that's pretty much all of your caps gone. So this would be the lowest possible with just the 6 caps in total for those 3 men. But jumping into the backline, Kyle Preston, he comes in as the injury cover for Noah Hotham as well as Cam Roigard. Of course, they've also got Christie in the mix. But Kyle Preston, he is 25 years of age, had a breakout season for the Crusaders, also plays for Wellington in the Bunnings NPC, but does look like a bright talent. Keep an eye out for. Number 10, this is where Ruben Love would be the lowest capped option. He only has the 2. Of course, he can also play fullback, but when you look at those first 5/8 of Beauden Barrett with 136 and Damian McKenzie with 64, it would make it very difficult to put together the rest of the starting lineup. In fact, you could almost just about squeeze Damian McKenzie in, but Ruben Love with the 2 caps and a very bright future, he is the lowest possible option there. In the centre pairing, Quintal Pire as the number 12. He has got himself the 16 caps with Billy Proctor as the outside centre with 4. It's quite interesting seeing the reaction that Billy Proctor has brought out of some All Black supporters, some saying he's already had his dash in that 13 jersey, but the bloke's only got 4 caps, so a long time still for Billy Proctor to develop there. On the left wing, this is where you could put Leroy Carter. He is yet to have his debut. He is currently covering as Caleb Clark's injury replacement. Timothy Tavatavanawai out on the right. Now, I know that when I said Quintal Pire in that number 12 jersey, some would have said, what about Timothy Tavatavanawai? But if you're looking at the best way of reshuffling for the lowest possible caps, that is where Tavatavanawai, with his 2 caps, could find himself situated there. Plus, he does cover wing. He's a very talented player, whether he's in the middle of the park or out on the side. So Timothy Tavatavanawai does make his way in. And then at number 15, this is once again where there's a little bit of a reshuffle, but he has played there before, that being Moni Narawa. He did get the chance up against France out on the right wing, but in this case, if you're looking at the lowest caps, he would be there as the number 15. So that is a starting lineup, ladies and gentlemen, for the All Blacks that only consists of 46 caps. Now, that is an extremely low number, which is good, because that now means that we've got 54 caps to play with to try and make this an even stronger All Blacks side. So this is the starting lineup for the All Blacks. It's 46 caps in total, and now we get to start making some changes. First off, what I want to do to this side to make it even stronger is, even though he's got 44 caps, I want to chuck Will Jordan in that number 15 jersey. I think he's been so dangerous for the All Blacks. He always shows up in that international kit, scores tries for fun, is brilliant in defence. So Will Jordan, for his 44 caps, makes his way into the side. Now that does bring the total caps up to 87. So already getting very close to that 100, but I do think it is a very good choice to make to get Will Jordan in that side. What I'm also going to do is put Moni Narawa from 15 to number 14 in this lineup, so he will get that right wing spot. It adds an extra cap on top of Timothy Tavatavanawai. That takes us up to the 88. I do think that Narawa's defence throughout Super Rugby Pacific was extremely underrated. Yes, he didn't quite have his best game up against France when given the chance for the All Blacks, but we've got to remember he's only got those 3 caps. He will get better, and I do hope to see him quite a bit for the ABs throughout 2025. From there, I am also going to change where Timothy Tavatavanawai is in this side and put him in as that inside centre. Taking Quinn Tupaia out. Yes, Tupaia, he is a very talented player, but I do like that explosive power of Timothy Tavatavanawai. It does drop the cap total down to 74 as well, so it does give me a little bit more breathing room for a couple other players to potentially bring in. But Timothy Tavatavanawai and Proctor as a midfield combo could be a very dangerous future one for the All Blacks. Another change that I am going to make, you'll remember right at the start, I said that anyone in this 42-man squad is eligible for selection. So with that being said, taking Kyle Preston out, even though he is a very talented youngster, but for only 12 caps, you got to put Cam Roigard in that number 9 jersey. He has proven from those 12 caps that he is 100% the first choice halfback for New Zealand. It is a shame that he's going to be missing for the matches up against Argentina and potentially the matches up against the South Africans as well. But Roigard, when he is fit, will 100% be in that All Blacks team. So I will definitely be putting him in this under 100 too. But just looking through at this backline for a second, Cam Roigard, Ruben Love. You've got that Hurricanes duo, Ruben Love, someone that a lot of people want to see get that chance at 10 for the ABs. You've got Leroy Carter, Timothy Tavatavanawai, Billy Proctor, Moni Narawa, and Will Jordan. If this doesn't look like an absolutely stacked backline, I don't know what does. Of course, you'd normally see someone like a McKenzie or a Barrett or a Ioane in there somewhere. But is this the future kind of lineups that we could be looking at after that 2027 Rugby World Cup? So now moving on to the 4-pack. I've got a 14 cap allowance, which is definitely not a massive amount. I do think that that loose forward trio could get a couple modifications, but I also do want to change my front row. And that is take Tavita Mafaleo out and put Pasilio Tosi in. One of the reasons behind that, we've already seen the All Blacks trying to build up that Norris and Tosi combo for this year. It's an extra 9 caps, which takes the total up to 95, which makes it very difficult to make any other future changes. But I do think that having Tosi and Ollie Norris alongside Brodie McAllister in the middle could be quite a handy future front row. For the All Blacks, that leaves me though with 5 caps, and with the players that I've got remaining that I could potentially add, that actually gives me no options whatsoever. Now, something I will say is if Naitoa Akoi had made his way into the squad, I would probably put him in for Josh Lord in that number 4 jersey, and then from there I would have enough extra caps to be able to put Wallace Satiti into that loose forward trio, as he has got the 10 caps for the ABs. But with just 95 caps across the starting lineup, it does show that there is plenty of depth at the moment for the All Blacks. It's just a question of when will we start to see these younger, inexperienced players start to make their mark ahead of some of those experienced veterans that the All Blacks do have. Nonetheless, that is going to be the end of this video. Of course, do let me know who you would like to switch in and out. I'd recommend starting with that 15 player list that I did show at the start. Let me know your modifications in the comments down below. I know that some people possibly wouldn't put Will Jordan into that back line, so that would give you a few more caps. I would have somehow loved to put Tupovai into the team Satiti, like I mentioned. Maybe you want a little bit more grunt up front and you go to Mighty Williams rather than Ollie Norris. The possibilities are endless, but of course, do let me know what you would do in the comments. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If this is a concept that you did enjoy, be sure to let me know. There is also another video idea that I've got of an uncapped 23 for the All Blacks, just to show that depth that little bit more. So if that's what you want to see, do let me know too. But thank you all very much for watching. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one.